Thank you so much for your very kind and elaborate introduction, General Dushyan Singh, sir, General Hemant, sir, General Chaturvedi, sir, and of course, a very vibrant and a forceful speaker, Brigadier Dahiya, sir. I thank you ever so much for giving me this great platform to share my ideas, and I will speak on the basis of my first-hand experience and the interaction that I have had with the law enforcement agencies and my personal experience of handling ISI operatives, those arrested, and also those who fell into our net, not only in Uttar Pradesh, but in the country. Now, this axis of evil, this association, and I would add, when I say Pakistan and China, I would also include the Taliban in that. And when I include the Taliban, there is a host of other elements, ISIS, Khorasan, and other outfits that would come. I will also like to share how and in what manner can we ban these organizations or to handle them. There is always a best way of doing everything. Now, this axis of evil, I would go back, say, about 12 months or maybe 18 months and take you back to the CAA, anti-CAA agitations, the role of the PFI, the Delhi riots, the role of people like Sharzil Imam, etc., who exhorted people to block the Siliguri corridor so as to cut Assam from India. May I submit that the role of the PFI was very clear, that they organized 120 crores for the CAA agitations, and not only this, they also managed to get 50 crores for the Bangalore riots. The Delhi riots, which happened immediately in the backdrop of Donald Trump's visit. And I was privy to the fact that the police commissioner of Delhi invited a few of us and explained how insidious the planning was and what were the modus operandi of the rioters. Indeed, it is fortuitous and lucky that we had the better of them, but it was a touch and go affair like the Chinese would like to do. They are very smart people. They are very smart people. They like to use our systems, our laws, our institutions to their advantage. This was one agitation, both the CAA and the Delhi riots, that the agitators used Constitution of India and the picture and placards of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, and also our tricolor, to give the impression that this agitation is being done by nationalists. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Nothing could be farther from the truth. It's a different matter that the game was exposed. But what remains to be done even today? Why have we not been able to nail the PFI? Why have we not been able to ban this outfit till now? We'll go, what are the problems in banning such organizations and what are the consequences? You see, the left-wing extremism, at one point of time, a national security advisor said that the left-wing extremism is responsible and is impacted 40% of our landmass. And if that be the case, what is it that we are doing? There seems to be no direct connection between the Chinese and the left-wing extremism as of now. But the role of the ISI is very clear. And if ISI is there, can the Chinese be far behind? We know for sure that the Chinese are behind their guerrilla tactics, their strikes, their ambush techniques, because the footprints are very similar. Their blasts and the technology that they use against the paramilitary forces and against our forces are very similar. The repeated use, revolution begins from the barrel of the gun. The first quote from Chairman Mao. We are also aware that the Delhi journalist Rajiv Sharma was arrested in September 2020 for passing on sensitive military information and was paid by Chinese spies via Hawala. This is an open knowledge. Let us go also to Indo-Nepal borders. We have a border of 1,770 kilometers right across Indo-Nepal border. We are fully aware that it is a porous border and used as a favorite access for smuggling of narcotics, weapons, human trafficking, and fake Indian currency. Fake Indian currency would require another session. I'll just complete in 2 sentences of fake Indian currency. The machinery of a security press of Nasik, after auction, was picked up by Abdul Karim Telegi and shipped to Pakistan. The Bahawalpur has a printing press that is state of the art. They get the same dyes and the ink from Germany, which we use for ourselves. And fake Indian currency is almost as good as ours. Now, the Habib Bank of Pakistan and the Rashtriya Bank of Nepal, they have teamed to create what is known as the Himalayan Bank. Right across the whole of Indo-Nepal border, there is a host. There are series of Himalayan banks. Nothing bad about it, but there's something unnatural about it. The demographic changes, the unusual presence of the Himalayan Bank there, the proxy of which is the Habib Bank of Pakistan, to facilitate what? To facilitate exchange, storage of fake Indian currency. And we also have tried very hard to facilitate this. I'll tell you, give you a small example. A cashier of State Bank of India near the Gorakhpur area, Nautanwa, is there for the last 7 years. He has the reputation of being a Babaji, a very frugal man. But in the guise of being frugal, that man against all norms was there for 7 years, was exchanging fake Indian currency and exchanging with genuine Indian currency, and had 3 palatial houses in Lucknow and 2 mistresses in Lucknow. This goes to show what level of internal vigilance and what kind of internal intelligence we have on the lumpen and the criminal elements amongst ourselves. This was a wake-up call, and I wish that we had woken up earlier. It's not the question of just one cashier. There are multiple cashiers who are facilitating human trafficking, drugs, weapons, and fake Indian currency. Post-Galwan and post-Afghanistan, I think things have changed drastically. Of course, we have seen how things, and we'll go into that when I do the control strategies. But there was an outfit by the name of Al-Badr. This used to be very, very active about 25, 30 years ago, but went into hibernation because the ISI propped up Lashkar-e-Toiba, and most of the drone sightings and the drone droppings are attributed to Lashkar-e-Toiba. Hizbul Mujahideen, and after the Lashkar-e-Toiba and Hizbul Mujahideen, Al-Badr is seen to be trained by the Pakistan ISI and alarmingly by the Chinese officers. The ISI and Chinese officers are training Al-Badr ranks and cadres, and they have been given very many weapon systems. Fortified bunkers are being constructed by the Chinese, and training also is being imparted by the Chinese military officers. China is using the air base in POK, that is Skardu, which is in the Gilgit-Baltistan area, and it seems to have logistically and has greater military importance than the Tibetan airports in Chinese control, that is Gargunsa and Hotan, because the Skardu airport would provide 30% more payload, and 40 J-10 aircrafts have been sighted there, as also IL-78, which are capable of mid-air refueling. The partnership does not end here. The partnership goes to, in the diplomatic area, where China has brazenly and shamelessly supported the cause of Azhar Masood, a designated terrorist in the United Nations, not once, but multiple times. By record, it is estimated that there are no fewer than 40 sleeper cells that are operational in J&K. It is also known, when we come to the drugs and the narcotics, 84% of the world opium production is from Afghanistan, and the Taliban and the ISI are behind it. Pakistan, in any case, is a failed state, in whose, if the presidential mansion is let out for rent to generate revenue, if the president sells off the gift of a watch that he received by way of a gift for $1 million in Dubai, it speaks volumes about the stature of that failed and a rogue state. Under these circumstances, it should not come as a surprise that Pakistan ISI is behind the 84% of the opium trade that Afghanistan is generating. The arrest of 19-year-old Ali Babar Patra in Kashmir also has given voluminous information as to where we stand and what we need to do and what the course correction would require. Of course, time is less. I will conclude in the next 5-7 minutes with your permission, sir. Pir Panjal is again, the south of Pir Panjal is again an area of extreme concern because 35% of our studies and analysis pertained to Kashmir Valley. But we must also realize that 35% of the incidents post 1990 have also happened in this area. And the hunt for militias in the Mendhar area, where 9 soldiers were martyred recently, also happens to be here. This area also is the focus of the drone droppings, etc., and the sightings. Probably a lot of supporters there. And if this area has to be contained, it has to be area domination enforced. Then the 3 factors that would require extreme importance and indulgence would be the geography, the terrain, and the demography. Under these circumstances, we have seen that what are the sensitive areas? What would be the requirement of area domination? What would be the technological upgradation? The recent impact that we have seen, that the ISI now has a 5-point charter to do in the next 90 days in India. The first is disrupt air services by infiltrating into the ATCs with their operatives, putting a pen drive into our systems and creating a mayhem as far as IT services are concerned, leading to air crashes maybe. Then targeted killing, as we have seen in Kashmir just now and in the Punjab maybe about 6 months ago, so as to create a communal divide, a sense of panic. Breach rail road transport, I really don't know why, but Bihar seems to be the focal point of such attacks because in their agenda, Bihar is a priority, probably to cut off east and the west and the north and the south. The power station and the power grids, again by cyber attacks with China's help. And also, if the power stations and the power disruption is there, it will impact IT services, the telecom services, the industrial production as also. And last but not the least, the 5th point is targeted assassinations of RSS and BJP cadres, leaders, and workers. Again, for a communal divide, create a sense of panic and also send shivers down the spine in the Indian mindset. So this is the 5-point strategy which the ISI has. And the sleeper cells I mentioned, there were about 40 in Kashmir. And with my experience, I can tell you, there are immensely more right across. There is no dearth of people who are prepared to give their support to an immoral, illegitimate, and an anti-national activity. We have people, you must have seen on the news channel, you must have seen that there is orchestrated opposition to something that promotes national welfare. A selected group of people, a selected people. There are selected people who will criticize the UAPA. My only request is, sir, please have a subcommittee and compare the America's Patriot Act and compare the UAPA. UAPA is kindergarten stuff in front of the Patriots Act of the USA, sir. Look what happened in the Guantanamo Bay Detention Center of the USA. We respect human rights. And our records of human rights and our level of commitment to them is second to none in the world, and we don't have to be taught by the Amnesty International or anybody what to do about ourselves. But yes, there is a Tukde gang. There is a Sharzil Imam, and there's not a question of one Sharzil. I could go on, and I'll give you a personal example. You may recall, sir, that there were 3 blasts in Uttar Pradesh, in the collectorate, in the courts, Lucknow, Faizabad, and Varanasi. Indian Mujahideen was accounted for, and the operatives were all arrested by the UP Special Task Force and the UP ATS. And one of them, Khalid Mujahid, much after my retirement, died due to a heat stroke in Barabanki. I was in Rishikesh delivering a lecture in the Ramakrishna Mission. And lo and behold, a murder case was registered against me Brijlal, who's a member of parliament now, the then DG Civil Defense, and 42 members of the Special Task Force, the commandos, all the officers who were responsible for the arrest and the interrogation of that terrorist. They then almost went ahead, wanted to withdraw the cases of terrorism against them. And when the High Court stepped down and said, why are you just withdrawing the cases? You please consider them awarding the Padma Vibhushan also. You are not going to decide whether we are going to decide. You mean the judiciary is going to decide whether they are terrorists or not. This is a wake-up call yet again. There are people who will go to absurd lengths to placate the terrorists and those who are anti-national elements. And Khalid Mujahid, again they were convicted. Khalid Mujahid died, of course, but the others were convicted by the lower court. During the course of the investigation, General Singh sir, there is an outfit in Lucknow, all of you Lucknow. They sat on a dharna opposite the GPO for 90 days. And who were these people? I'm not naming that outfit. It is there on the net, and there are certain things that I've disclosed only when there's a one-to-one or a closed door interaction. That outfit agitated for 90 days for the arrest of Brijlal, my colleague, me, and all the 42 commandos of the STF and the officers. And who were these people? These people were also instrumental and were the backbone of anti-CA agitations. They were arrested then. Their properties were confiscated and attached by the government. So you please see, and the same Candle March gang that operates in Delhi also operates in Lucknow. The same Candle March Award Wapsi gang that operates in these two places would operate against you, me, and against whatever is beneficial to the nation. Under these circumstances, sir, a befitting reply will have to be diplomatic. It has to be on the economic front. It has to be on the financial front. If need be, it is for the policy decisions to make. भय बिन होए न प्रीति, और गमले में उगने वाले जब बरगद का मुकाबला करें, they are inviting surgical strikes and deterrence. There is one thing that I have understood, sir, and I have interrogated any number of ISI agents. Any number of ISI agents. And the first thing is that the bravado dies down after about 3 or 4 days of interrogation. All the bravado dies down after 3 or 4 days. And I would ask him, what about your commitment to meet the 72 beautiful houris waiting for you in the other world? What about that? Uncle ji, is baar chhod dijiye, main kasam khata hu, main is taraf dekhunga. So these are things that all experts who are working on de-radicalization, who are working on course correction, they need to reinforce de-radicalization, work on the sleeper cells. Banning of CB, Student Islamic Movement of India, was no joke. We worked for 5 years, and effort after effort, our efforts were rewarded after 5 years of hard work and documentation. But they metamorphosed into something like Indian Mujahideen. Indian Mujahideen also, the back was broken. Then you have the PFI. And there are multiple things that they reincarnate, and the avatars are very different. But yes, a lot of spade work, a lot of documentation, a lot of intelligence gathering will be the answer. And yes, the consequences will be far-reaching if we allow and do not take the opportunities that are with us today, advanced intelligence, mutual coordination, and then giving a befitting reply. With your permission, sir, I would like to tell you that a small bibliography for the Haqqani Network. This is a good book for those who are interested. Yahid Brown and Don Rassler. The IS of Pakistan is a must read for all of us, by Hein J. Kesselring. And military income, because Aisha Siddiqa is a Pakistani writer, and she has explained how the Pakistani is into more of economics than into armaments and warfare. They are manufacturing cement, pizzas, and sanitary material, etc. So be it. But these are one thing that will be a window to our neighbors, the armed forces, and the evil nexus between Taliban, China, and Pakistan. Thank you so much, Sir General Singh, for your very kind permission. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.